Hello everyone and welcome back to the letter, round 2. For this round we will be killing off Isabella. I will follow the same options that I chose in the first round for this one, just so everything's the same with Isabella, and then we'll have some changes with ongoing stuff. So I think it was... Well, I don't actually know what's going to happen. I think I'm going to follow the same thing with Rebecca too, because I don't think we find... Yeah, we don't find out that Isabella's dead until we get into Rebecca's thing. So I'll probably just follow the same thing for that. So I will see you once we get to that point. I believe this should be it. The choice of when we completely screw ourselves over. Stay at home. My hand automatically moves to press the delete button. Well, maybe I should figure out what the heck we were looking at. I believe we were looking at our emails. And notification, check it nevertheless. One of those days. Yeah, it was like work email. What's the use? I won't be able to work anyway. Not with this weighing on me. Not with the images flashing in my mind. Not with these voices calling for me. Over and over. Did I even save when I did that? I did, okay. I'm sorry, I'm a little frazzled now. Over and over and over. I flop back down on my bed and discard the phone on the nest of pillows beside me. The TV's still running, I notice vaguely. Having been left open the night before, though, I have no desire nor interest in it now. Rose is dead and it's all my fault. Shoving a pillow over my head, I make an attempt to sleep again. Anything just so I could feel this so I won't feel this heavy feeling in my chest. A cheerful voice with a tinge of hesitance greets me when I answer the sudden call.
Hey there! How are you feeling?
Good morning, Becca.
I hope this is the right spot.
I just want to check on you. I heard the news. How are you doing?
It's as if her question has opened a dam of emotions I've been keeping at bay.
Becca. Rose, she...
Shh. It's okay. I know. I'm sorry. I know how much she means to you.
No, you don't understand! This is what I've been telling you guys!
What you've been telling... Alright. Tell you what. Why don't we eat dinner together today? I heard the diner near your office is serving your favorite today. My treat?
Meet up with her. Perhaps it's better to talk to Becca about this in person, not over the phone and when I'm calm. It's not too late. She might still listen to a reasonable explanation.
Okay. I'll meet you after school. So long as you don't make me pay, okay? I've already treated you to free food the other day.
You know I'm not like that. If there's anyone who should be complaining here, it's me.
But promise me you'll stay safe, alright?
What's gotten into you? I don't think that's necessary, considering I'll be at school the whole day. I'll wait for you here, understood? Don't be late. I can only stay until...
Promise me. If something bad happens, you'll run and...
The Luxbon Police Department continues its search for the following reported missing people.
I left the phone away from my ears and turned my attention to the news. Never mind that Becca's still on the line. These faces... Hold on a second. Missing? Aren't they?
Becca, I'll call you back. There's something I have to look up.
Wait, Isabella, what are you...
Frantic, I press the end call button and open my laptop. The loud tapping of my fingers against the keys fills the room for the rest of the day as I look through everything. The background about the place, its history from the current owners and the list of employees hired under BRC. And I'm right. Of course I am. BRC may have a lot of staff, they may have a lot of agents hired, but I'd remember those names anywhere. After all, they're part of the crew who worked with us in preparing the mansion for the open house. Still, I've got to check. One by one, call after call, I go through each person's missing on the list. This isn't anything illegal, right? I'm just someone concerned for a fellow coworker. The night has fallen by the time I've gone through the whole thing. They're gone. They're really gone. No one knows where, but they're gone. Then the letters? No, that can't be. I hope it's not what I'm thinking.
But Rose is...
Something snaps into place in the fraction of a moment. These people in Rose.
I need to tell someone.
They need to know. Ash, Zach, Becca. That's right. We agreed to meet. She needs to know. Of course. Of course. The letter, my phone, papers, anything that will be useful, I grab all of them and make a run for the nearest bus stop. I'm already late. Becca must be really annoyed at me, but maybe if I use a subway I can still get to her before her patience snaps. As I run, I bring up my phone to my ear. Her number's already being dialed. Each rings in sync with the quick tapping of my foot. I'm so worried right now. Against the pavement, the sound taking away the edge from the agonizing wait. She's not answering. I turn to the nearest shortcut I know, a small street Becca has warned me to never take before. Wait. Maybe there's, like, a divergence in... Or, like, not a divergence, but, like, you can choose how you die. So you either die in your room or you die outside on the street. No lights, no other pedestrians passing by at this time of night. It's dangerous, but right now I have to. If I want to fix this, I have to get to her. Reaching the crosswalk at the end of the short avenue is a relief. A little more and I'll be at the station once I get to the other side of the street. My fingers fly over the keypad again in another attempt to call her. 5 seconds till the signs change. Please answer. Oh my god, she's gonna get run over! She's gonna get Isekai'd! 4 seconds. Becca's still not picking up. 3. I redialed her number for the 3rd time. 2. Please, I beg of you. 1. My feet are already moving. And finally it connects. Help me. The world grinds to a halt. And when I look up, she's there. Hello? Is it me you're looking for? I can see it in your eyes. I can see it in your smile. With the same misshapen face, tattered clothes, and unsightly gait, her voice reaches out to me again, calling like every other time, whispering, and whispering, drowning my ear with endless pleas and cries, gripping me with words I couldn't even begin to understand. There are shadows pulling at the edges of my vision, and the terror her presence brings wound itself tighter on my legs this time, pinning me to the ground. Help me.
No! Enough! How can I possibly help you? I couldn't even help myself. Or the people I dragged into this!
She smiles, her lips contorting into something menacing, and right then and there I understand the cutting anger in her eyes and the depth of the circumstances we found ourselves in. There is no escape. It is the last thing I see before my phone slips from my finger's end. No jaywalking achievement unlocked. Oh, we see it right away. I don't think in the other one you get to see it right away. I think you have to wait for Rebecca to find you. So yeah, it does choose. It does choose. I meant, it is a diverging path. Why do I have... Oh. The first few notes, while muffled, are enough to wake me. It takes a few moments for everything to fall into place, for my eyes to adjust to the light streaming into the room. Despite the pleasant chill the AC brings, my shirt is clinging tightly to me, and my blanket a tangled mess around my throat. It's one of those nights again when sleep passes like a blanket and is plagued with vague, fuzzy thoughts. I lift a hand to rub away the drowsiness from my eyes, although it does little to relieve the gritty, burning sensation from my eyelids. Outside, the sun has yet to peek over the horizon, but night has already given way to the cool morning light, washing everything in subtle gray hues. At this hour, the entire city remains unstirring. Ordinarily, waking up before my own alarm means abusing the snooze button twice or thrice just to catch those precious few extra minutes of sleep. But the persistent ringing makes it impossible now.
This better be good.
Groggily, I scramble for the bag sitting at the foot of the bed. Achievement unlocked, just get here please. The ringing still hasn't stopped even as I fish the phone out, and Ash's name flashes brightly on the screen when I turn it on. Must be pretty urgent if he hasn't dropped the call yet.
Where are you?
Ashton, it's 6 in the morning. Sun hasn't even risen. Hell, my brain ain't even awake yet. What do you need?
Get your ass here, pronto.
Here? Hold on. Can't this wait until I'm actually awake?
No, Rebecca's not.
His voice hitches and I fail to catch the last of what he's saying over the sudden racket on the other side of the line. When the noise dies down, however, he does not continue. This abrupt change in his tone, the unexpected hesitance to speak puts me on edge, and a different kind of anxiety clings to me. Something's wrong.
Here is where, Ash?
Ermengarde Memorial Hospital. ER. Becca's already there. I need to be off somewhere. Just get there, please.
He drops the call before I can ask more. Is Isabella dead or just really injured? I don't know what's going on. I shouldn't make promises to what happens, but probably in this round I will go back if she doesn't actually die. He drops the call before I can ask more. Maybe it's just me or my sleep-addled brain, but in that short moment he sounds almost as if he's pleading. The thought alone does not ease the lump of dread gripping my insides already heavy with fear. But despite the questions currently swimming inside my head, I waste no time in getting dressed, the rest of the day's plans and scheduled meetings effectively forgotten. Whatever lies ahead, I hope this isn't one of those times when my intuition is right. The scent of hospitals never did grow on me. Too fresh, too medicinal, too sterile, and if I am to go down the more morbid train of thought, I'd say the air smells a little like blood and death if one pays closer attention. It's not entirely terrible in itself, just that the scent alone is enough to bring out old memories, mostly unpleasant. I'm not saying the recent birth of my niece is one, of course. That has been a good milestone for both me and my sister's family. Simply unfortunate that the disinfectant has to be everywhere for something anyone wants to commit to memory.
Does Isabella ever feel this way when she visits her father?
The same odor assaults my senses as I make my way through the corridors in search of the emergency room. Recently renovated according to one of the gods, I asked for directions. Considering how long the place has been around, I'm not surprised I already made plans to modernize. Gotta keep up with the times, they say, especially for a place where lives are saved. I don't have time to admire the new work, though. Soon the person I'm searching for comes into view. Rebecca's sitting still on one of the few benches lining the hall, her head bowed and her shoulders rising and falling in a slow rhythm with her breathing. Oh God. A pile of papers and various other personal effects have been arranged neatly beside her. And is that blood on those? I try to ignore the foreboding feeling it sends me as I reach for her and shake her awake.
Rebecca! I'm here. Wake up.
She opens her eyes at the second tap along with a small yawn of her own. In the hospital's bright lighting, the dark circles under her eyes are more noticeable. Her voice is still rough with sleep when she greets me.
Zach, did Ash call you in?
Pretty much. Woke me up, actually. Said it was urgent.
Completely ignoring the blood. Nope, nothing. It's ketchup, tomato sauce. Not blood. Never blood.
What happened?
He didn't tell you?
Not really. He just said I needed to be here. Is everything all right? It sounded pretty urgent when he called. The way that guy phrased it, I thought for sure you had gotten into an accident or something.
Rebecca shifts in her chair, smooths a hand over her face, and lets out a sigh, weighted enough with fatigue as she does so.
I'm sorry, Zachary. It's just been a long night. I don't really know how I'm supposed to break this to you. Ashton should be the one doing this, but...
The guy's busy again. No worries. You could tell me anything.
No, it's... It's Isabella.
I'm afraid I can't quite follow, ma'am.
It's not blood. It's not blood.
You weren't entirely wrong. But it wasn't me, obviously. Last night, she got into an accident. A car accident. She was hurt pretty bad, and they had to rush her here.
A lump has suddenly lodged itself to my throat, making it difficult to get the next words out.
How bad exactly are we talking about here, Rebecca?
Pretty damn bad.
Critical. But I don't know. I didn't see her myself. When I came here, she was already in the ER. Has been since last night. The doctors haven't said anything since then.
And Ash?
He's looking into the crash. He hasn't called again, but he promised to keep us updated.
Another heavy sigh comes out of her. Abruptly, she stands and starts pacing, her trembling fingers laced tightly together in front of her. She continues for a good minute, treading the hall in short, uneven steps before stopping and pressing both her palms over her eyes. As if that alone will be enough to stave off her exhaustion.
I called her out, you know? I promised I'll treat her to dinner if she gets out of her room. I was only hoping it would cheer her up after the news. The one about her co-worker yesterday. And now, I should have just kept my mouth shut. If I did, then maybe she'd still be.
Hey, don't blame yourself. You had no idea this would happen. An accident is an accident. If there's someone you should hold responsible for this, it's that ass who ran her over. Ash will find that guy, don't worry.
I wish it were that easy. God, it's one after another, Zachary. And no one will tell me anything. I came in here asking for her, and all they said was, "She's in critical condition, ma'am." What are we supposed to do? I want to do something. I need to do something. But I can't. Not when she's still in there. Still fighting for her life.
I wish I could give her the answers she wants to hear right now. But that has always been the hardest part in circumstances like this, always out of our control, always out of our hands. The least I can say to her right now is... you need to take a break. Rebecca does not move nor pull away when I lay a reassuring hand on her back and lead her to an empty seat. If things are not as bleak as they appear, I doubt she would freely accept a gesture strong-willed as she is.
I know you're worried, Rebecca. We all are. But you have to think about yourself, too. I'll be straight with you. You look like you're a few steps away from falling over.
And you would be falling over if I chose the other option. Because I'm pretty sure that one's way more gruesome.
How do you think Bella will react if she sees you like this right now?
You don't have to mince words with me. Just say I look like horse dung, Zachary. I won't be mad.
All right, ma'am. You look like you stepped and rolled in a pile of horse dung today. Not the same thing, but the way you are, there doesn't seem to be any difference.
There, wasn't that easy? But yeah, she'll scold me. Believe me, Belle will. She whines with how bossy I am every time. But she doesn't realize how she's every bit of a mother hen as I am. Don't tell her I said that. And then maybe she'll laugh after. She never does stay mad with anyone for long.
That she does. Or you could always offer her food.
You don't have to tell me. That has always been a last resort. It works every time.
Look at us talking like she's gone and left us.
I'm sure it's nothing like that. I think this is just us hoping we won't lose her.
We won't.
You sound very sure.
Well, times like this, the only thing left to do is to hope. Maybe pray for the best. But I don't want to believe those guys inside aren't doing the best they can to save her. They have to be if they've been at it for hours. And Isabella's... you know how she is.
She's stubborn. I think that's a good thing. I want to believe she'll make it through because of that alone. I'm a mess, aren't I? One unfortunate incident, and I'm all ready to give up hope. Can't even keep myself together when nothing final has been said yet.
We all are. A mess, I mean, in more ways than one.
We let the silence fall and the words hang between us. Because the truth in those feelings feels more tangible than what little hope we're both clinging to. Somewhere far off the hall I can hear the faint beeping of machines. Which one is Isabella's, I wonder? How is she doing? How long are we supposed to wait? Will she pull through? But it's always the waiting, ain't it? More than the fretting. It's always the long, excruciating hours that follows, blurring everything in between and slowing it down. By this point, we've both drank through our third cup of coffee. We have already lost track of the seconds, the minutes we've been sitting here. There's no idle chatter between us, only companionship and what little support we could give each other. Which is not much considering how long the two of us have known each other. Better for Ash to be here instead of me, or Isabella, if only she didn't have a different battle to fight right now. Then again, we won't be here if she ain't. When a door finally creaks open and a voice calls for us, none of the world shifts back into focus the way I'm expecting it would. It's Rebecca who handles it with much patience and tact while I sit on the sides. It is her who faces the nurse, who listens to him, who nods and wordlessly follows when he gestures for us to do so, all in spite of the weariness beating down on her. A different kind of burden now after that talk. I'm almost too afraid to ask. Achievement unlocked, hang in there. She'd love this room. The moment the nurse opens the door and the soft late morning sunlight greets us from the sole window, I know she would. It might be a little inappropriate to think about, but if she's well, Isabella will say the same thing. She has, after all, always favored the sun. Reminds her a little of home, she said. It reminds me a little of her too, to be frank. In the background, the heart monitor blips faintly in a steady rhythm. She's not an easy sight to see, covered in bandages, a thick cast on her leg and neck with all these wires and tubes attached to her. She looks nothing but frail like this. And still. Too still. She's never still, and yet here she is, her breathing too quiet for comfort, even as the ventilator pumps oxygen into her.
They have to keep monitoring her.
But she's okay now? We'll just have to wait?
Not exactly. She isn't out of the woods yet.
But alive, right? I mean, she's here. Even with all this stuff attached to her, she's gonna be fine, yeah?
She lets out a breath, probably the 13th one since I joined her here, and flops unceremoniously on a nearby chair. Carefully, she reaches up and gives Isabella's bandage hand a light squeeze. They have a couch in there? What kind of hospital has a couch in there? I'm not sure if that's meant to be an encouragement for the patient or her. But for all her hesitance, I'm glad it's Rebecca who has to break whatever this news is. If this is Ashton, he'd drop that without any sort of preamble. For a detective looking to get answers, it works. For people waiting on the edge, it doesn't always.
I don't know. I honestly don't know anymore. The doctors, they had to put her in an induced coma. They had to, after the seizures. It wasn't looking good. Something about the trauma and the head injury from the accident did that. I know I should have listened better. I'm sorry, Zachary. Half of it didn't even sink in. All I understood was she's on life support now, but they aren't expecting her to make it. Her chances aren't good from the start.
They can't just say that. They don't know her. I'll talk to them. They'll see reason if I just...
I did, all right? Already did. I told them to get their asses together. Even made a promise to try.
But you mentioned they still have to monitor her. That means they haven't given up on her, right?
They haven't. I insisted. But with how things are, they said she might never wake up. And if she ever does, she might not be the same anymore. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I was angry when I told them that, and it just came out of my mouth. Maybe they're right. Maybe I should have just let them...
You did the right thing, Rebecca.
You don't know that. What if she doesn't want this? Do you see all of these? Wires and tubes and bandages everywhere. She's barely herself, clinging to dear life as it is. She can't even hear us. Doesn't even know there are people here worried sick for her.
The point is she's still here. Don't beat yourself up over what ifs. This ain't over for her, alright? I've seen people recover from even worse. Have some faith in her.
I do have faith in her.
You know what? I think this is just a lack of sleep talking. You been here since when? Last night? Go get some rest, Miss Gales.
But Isabella's...
I'll take care of her, don't you worry. We can do shifts if you want. But go home first. We'll talk about that later when you ain't looking like you're about to fall apart. If you keep going like this, you're the one who'll end up here next.
The rebuttal I'm expecting from her for even suggesting the idea doesn't come. To my surprise, she merely chuckles.
This feels like a conversation I had with Isabella a few days ago. I said the exact same thing to her.
Then maybe it's a sign you should rest. Let me take over from now.
Maybe. But I'll keep that in mind. Are you sure you'll be fine alone? I'll come back this evening. So if you need anything picked up, I can get it for you.
Nah, no problem on that front. Besides, if I do need something, my apartment's just a few blocks away. Skip and a hop, that's all I need. Focus on getting some sleep. Let me take care of this for a few hours. Do it for everyone's sake,
Will do. Thanks, Sakura. If something changes with her, promise me you'll call.
You'll be the first one to know, ma'am. Well, if it comes to that. I hope the news I bring will be better than the one we got this morning. Crazy thing having to wake up to this.
I hope so too. I'll see you later.
Rebecca manages a weak smile before turning and heading out of the room. But when the door clicks shut behind her, it does so with little finality. Like saying this won't be the last, that our stay here won't be as brief as we're all hoping. Beside me, the beeping from the machines remains unceasing. The distinct familiar scent pervading the room persists as it wraps itself into the room's only occupants. Altogether, a different memory burns itself into my mind. There's something personal in the melody slowly threading itself into my consciousness. A hum pleasant in every note lingers in the air and carries with every shift. It reminds me of our room, of a little place my sister and I once called home, and of a promise made several springs ago, back when our walls are bare and everything still foreign and new. The soft rustling wakes me long before I can fully remember. Someone is speaking in the room, in hushed whispers, muttering words like a secret not meant for my ears to hear.
This is stupid.
It takes a little while for the recognition to sink in and remind me where I am. But sure enough, when I shift my gaze up, Ashton's there, leaning casually against the edge of the bed, arms folded across his chest while sporting a pensive expression on his face. I'd say it's close to wistful, but this is Ash. And with the room's lights dimmed down, one really can't tell.
Hey, Ash.
If my sudden movement surprised him, it only shows in the slight lifting of his eyebrows before he acknowledges me with a small nod.
How long have you been here?
Just came in a few seconds ago.
Oh, sorry. I didn't hear you.
Figures. It's not a problem. You probably need to rest anyway.
You're the one talking. You look like shit.
So I've been told.
Seriously, how long have you been up?
18, 20 hours or so? It doesn't matter. I'll get some shut-eye later. Where's Rebecca?
I sent her home early, but she'll be back too.
Both of us turn in time to see Rebecca ease the door open and step inside. She's brought her traveling bag with her, and from the way she transfers its load to her other hand, it's heavy enough with things for maybe 2 or so days worth of sleeping out. I don't know what to say to that, quite frankly, or if I'm even supposed to question her about it. Ashton no doubt has a remark or two about it, but before any of us could comment, she raises a hand to stop us.
It's not mine.
3 words and they're all telling enough. Just like that, an awkward silence descends in the room. All of a sudden, just the mention of her has become some sort of taboo between us. Funny when she's just lying a few inches away from us. God knows if she's even aware of us. Even in this quiet, I can hear her laughing. We're making a big deal out of this, she'll say. It isn't anyone's fault, but it's obvious that one way or another each of us hold our own selves responsible for what happened, however irrational that sounds. Plenty of what-ifs should have and could-haves going around. It's almost stifling.
Always prepared, ain't you?
I just packed what she'll be needing for a few days. I figured it'll be easier for me to bring her things since I live next door. Go take a break now, Zachary. I'll stay with her until tomorrow when her aunt gets here. She's flying over from the other side of the country. Heard she had to file a leave to get here as soon as possible. Oh, what a mess all of this is.
Don't you have class tomorrow? You sure about that?
I can always call for a leave, too. I've got plenty, since I rarely ever use those. Someone has to stay here after...
No, I'll take it from here.
It's not that his offer is in any way unexpected, it's not even in the way he delivers it. Ash may seem distant to other people, rude to some, downright embarrassing to a few, but to those he keeps close and positive, he'll never hesitate to show some willingness to help. He cares, he really does, simply in his own, unorthodox way. I'm sure Rebecca's aware of this too, more than anyone. But the tight expression on her face, her strained grip on the bag, and the stiff line on her shoulder suggest a different kind of understanding. Even in the sharp, biting tone her voice takes despite the meaning in her words.
You don't have to do that. Zachary and I can handle this for a few days.
Both of you already had your turn with this. It wouldn't hurt to have another person helping out.
This isn't some sort of a competition, Ash. We're doing this because someone has to be here for her.
I'm not making this one. I just volunteered, didn't I?
Don't you have an investigation to finish?
And Zach has freelance gigs in line for the next few days. You have students to teach. Don't push it, Becca. All three of us have things to take care of on our own, but between us, it should be easier to find some time to...
Fine. Good.
Her voice is almost too quiet, like the calm on the eve of a brewing storm.
Do what you want.
She doesn't give him a chance to get another word in. In 3 steps she closes the distance between them and hands him the bag. With a little more force than necessary, in my opinion. Then with nothing more than a sharp glare at him, she marches out the door. Maybe it's just me, but in the brief instance our eyes meet, hiding behind that flash of anger is hurt. Did something happen when I wasn't looking? Certainly doesn't seem that way from the way Ash is acting.
You go ahead, Zach. I'll take over for now.
You sure this is fine?
Yeah, sure. It's not like this is a hard task. I'll probably get more sleep here than if I stay at the precinct or in my car. I'll call when something changes with Isabella, if that's what you're concerned about.
You ain't worried?
About what?
I'd say Rebecca, but he doesn't seem to have noticed earlier's exchange. Regardless, I'm not the kind of person who finds joy in prying, and it's certainly none of my business. On top of that, we have Isabella here bedridden. Rebecca's right. It's one problem after another, and to be truthful, I kinda want to ask for a little breathing room already. But that ain't how it always goes, ain't it?
This, everything, the accident, I don't know, you tell me. You were there, weren't you?
I gives him a pause, his hands stopping short of placing the bag on the table. Judging by the conflicted look on his face, he doesn't know how to respond to that. Yet.
About this, I'll figure it out. Don't worry. I'll find out myself who did this and make sure that bastard gets his just desserts.
He? So you do have an idea who?
Vaguely, but nothing conclusive yet. I'd rather not say anything until we've got everything sorted out. It's a huge mess. This and that other case. It might even be related for all we know. Thinking about it gives me a headache.
He lifts a hand and pinches the bridge of his nose. His eyes are squeezed tight in what's perhaps a struggle not to overthink. Or keep whatever frustration he feels at a considerable distance, preferably far enough so he can think clearly. When he's like this, it's better to leave him alone with his thoughts. But as I'm about to pull the door open, ready to take my leave, he calls out.
Do me a favor, Zach. Make sure you keep away from the Wrights this time. Tell Rebecca the same thing.
The name rings a bell, though. At present, I can't recall where I'd heard it recently. Nevertheless, I nod, if only to give him some peace of mind. This guy already has enough on his plate.
I'll remember that. See you later.
If you catch up to Becca, make sure she gets home safe.
Will do. Go get some sleep yourself.
I throw him one last look, even though at this point I'm not sure what I'm searching for in his face. Reassurance, some sort of encouragement, or proof that everything will be alright. I won't dare ask anymore. Not when he's doing this, looking forlorn, like it's as if he's failed a lot of people. One person in particular. With one last wave, I close the door behind me, leaving wishes of hope and a whole slew of unspoken remorse and concerns in the room. My apartment is a more than welcome sight after everything. Although it's small and begs for a little cleaning and repair, it is, at the end of the day, the closest I have to a respite. Sure, my sister would have a thing or two to say about the mess every time she visits, but it's still home to me. A mild draft sweeps into the room as I close the door behind me, slightly disturbing the papers on the nearby fridge. Most of them schedules, lists, and tasks for the next few days. Something to keep me busy while I sort things out, sort myself out. And now with what happened to Isabella, something to temporarily take my mind off things. A lone note flutters by my feet and the letters on the surface glaring at me with mute intensity. Ermengarde Mansion, H. Wright, 11 a.m. After Ashton's warnings, they all hold a different meaning now. Last I checked, I have nothing scheduled on my plate tomorrow. A couple of fleeting thoughts did cross my mind, like working on personal projects, or paying the hospital a visit to check on Isabella in the morning. Oh, that's what it is. But with the expectant expression on Hana's face alone, I've wondered before how they got Isabella to sell them the mansion with all the paperwork and the loops it has to go through. Well, now the how is already standing in front of me, and it's one giant ball of persuasion in human form. If I have any doubts how she got around life, all of them have been dispelled right this instant. Hana hasn't said anything yet, but I already know what my answer will be.
What event?
Our housewarming party, dearie. I've already sent invites through your publisher. They should have informed you of it by now.
I may have probably missed it. I haven't gotten the chance to check my mailbox yet. Deadlines, real-life happenings, they can be pretty hectic. I'll try later, but they might have already assigned it to a different photographer if they haven't received my reply yet.
That's not a problem. Nothing a little call from me can't fix. I'll have them know I'm specifically requesting for your presence. Just promise me you'll show up. I expect to see you both there. No excuses.
Good company, good music, good food. Of course I'll be there.
Lovely. I hope we have that settled then. I'd love to stay and chat, but unfortunately I have an appointment scheduled with the doctors after this. You two will have to excuse me.
Are you feeling fine, ma'am?
It's nothing big.
There's a short while in which her hand faintly touches her stomach when she says this. The smile as she does so a tender thing in itself. She might never let it cross her mind, but motherhood would suit her. The kid's already loved when he or she has yet to have a sense of the world. Candid moments like this I wish I had brought a camera
Sorry
for.
we had to cut this short. I'd love to have lunch with you two, but, well, you two know how it goes.
It's quite fine, Mrs. Wright. I need to get going as well.
Is it somewhere far from here? I can have my driver drop you off on the way.
No, please. There's no need for that, Mrs. Wright. It's just within the city.
I see. What about you, Zach? We did leave your push bike at the mansion.
No. This has bothered me ever since. I'm not showing her the pictures this time. She should know. I really should tell her. Yet.
Zachary, what is it?
When I look at her, all I see is a woman who only wants the best for the family she's trying to build. I see those loving smiles on her face whenever she puts a hand over her belly, the fond tones in her voice every time she thinks about what will be in months' time. I bet she bought that mansion for the same reason. To fill its many rooms with the smiles and laughter of the children, to create memories from it unlike the lonely ones she had as a child. And I can't bring myself to shatter that little wish. What other proof do I have except what might be taken as a couple of badly developed photos? No matter where you look at it, this is ridiculous. Maybe I am seeing things and I need to visit my doctor again as soon as possible.
About the photos you requested.
Oh, are they done?
No, actually, they're not done yet. I had to finish the ones for the magazine first. I really don't want to rush it.
Please don't tell me you came all the way to Anslim just to tell me that.
I made you a promise.
Oh, you poor thing. I won't hold it against you if you can't give it to me soon. I'm not rushing you, dear. Good art takes time, yes. I'm more concerned about the quality than how fast it gets delivered. With it, I'm sure I'll get my money's worth.
You really don't have to pay for it, Hana.
Shush you. Don't sell yourself short. You keep doing that and other people will follow.
Damn, gonna have to do some major photoshopping.
I'll have my secretary send the first half to your account tonight. No buts.
Behind her, Miss McCullen merely nods, mouthing at me to take it just as it is. She'd know, of course, being the other person working for the rights. Oof. Can we, redo the photos? Because I don't think these can be saved. But even if I decline, I'm certain Hana won't be giving me a choice. She'll do it anyway.
I guess I'll just have to make sure I'll take good photos tomorrow at your party, yeah?
Fair enough. I'd love to discuss it with you, but I'll only get in the way. And I really need to leave now.
Have a good day, then.
You too, sweetie.
She smiles and waves and then she's gone, leaving me wondering if I've just wasted half of my day worrying for nothing. But the weight of the photos in my pocket is impossible to ignore. Maybe I should have done the foolish thing instead. No. I don't know. Miss McCullough departs shortly after Miss Wright has taken her leave, muttering something about getting a quick lunch before fetching Baruthiel from Chris. I don't know what or who a Baruthiel is. Must be important for her to be in this kind of hurry. And well, she doesn't seem to be fond of small talk, something we can both agree on. Lunch sounds good, or a walk around the city maybe, but with the sun as high as it is now, nah. And after how things with Miss Hana went, I simply can't muster the appetite for anything at the moment. If I don't do anything with it now, I have this impression it will rear its ugly head again. And by then, things might be too late to fix. I made that mistake with Isabella. Look where that got us. What other choice do I have? Ash, Rebecca? In all likelihood, all they'll give me is a pat on the back, and a Z-Man go get some sleep. You're at it again from Ash. There is one person, though.
Damn, I should have thought of that first.
As it turns out, I do have another choice. The tremors follow me even as I get home. I had hoped a little stroll around the block for a few hours would help. Instead, I'm assaulted with more images of her, her smile, the loathing in her eyes, the stench of gore, the horrid crunch that comes with every movement she makes. Even old memories have been sullied by her, and Ma's song no longer sounds as sweet as it's meant to be. In the end, all I got is a sinking feeling I'll never be rid of her image, another ridiculous idea that may or may not even work. The sun's already hanging low on the horizon when I make it back, and for the first time coming home feels more like a chore. Only I didn't arrive to an empty room, because as soon as I open the door I'm greeted by none other than...
Sup, Z-Man?
Whatever proverbial stone has made a home at the pit of my stomach automatically flies right out the window at the sight of Ashton, sitting comfortably on my couch munching on a bag of chips with both feet propped atop the coffee table. Common sense dictates I should throw him out. Any person of a right mind would. But like many other things I've gotten accustomed to, I simply take it all in stride. I never did bother turning him away the first time to begin with.
Ash, how many times do I have to tell you not to call me Z-Man? And stop breaking into my apartment! Call the cops on you, but doing that feels like a joke in itself because you are one.
I didn't. You gave me a key the last time I did that, remember?
After the last one you broke, I can't keep replacing the knob just because you think it'd be amusing to lockpick the hell out of it. And hey, is that my...
Ash smirks at me, because of course he has the gall to smirk knowing what he did. He pops in what's very likely the last piece of chip into his mouth and folds the wrapper neatly on the table before throwing it on the nearby trash. Behind me, the television starts blaring the music for the end credits of a movie. He's likely been waiting for a while if he's gotten impatient enough to rummage through my cupboards and watch something.
You ate all of it! I was saving that one for the weekend!
I'll replace it.
What exactly is this about?
In an instant, he sits up, every trace of amusement gone from his face. He clasps his hands in front of him and leans forward. A minuscule gesture meant to ease, yet the grim expression on him tells a different story altogether.
Has everything been alright with you lately? Anything odd?
You saw me last night at the housewarming party, Ash. Pretty sure I'm doing fine.
I'm not asking about that. Remember the letter thing Isabella's been yapping on about? I'm asking about that kind of odd.
I look at him. Gaped, more like. His serious expression doesn't waver despite the perplexed look I shoot him. There is a brief second I let pass as I wait for the heavens to fall somewhere. It doesn't come. The sky is still bathed in vibrant reddish hues as it waits for the night to arrive. The Luxborn is still the same busy city, and everything in my room still appears as it did a second ago, including the unnerving ticking of my wall clock. But if Ashton, calm, cool, collected, and always logical Ashton takes interest in this, something or someone must have fucked shit up somewhere.
Well, the dreams, they're a lot worse than usual. There's a woman now, ever since we saw that letter. I don't know if it's the same one Isabella talked about. Maybe it is, maybe it ain't. I really don't want to go back to sleep sometimes. Last night was the worst. Anyway, why are you asking about this?
Becca's been saying weird things lately.
Weird like...
Same kind of weird Isabella says.
Alright, bro, stop right there. I thought you didn't believe in this stuff.
I still don't, but even Rebecca, out of all people, claims there's something. Whatever this is, someone has got to look into it. Everything about this screams shady.
Are you sure you even have the time? Ain't you busy with your current case?
I got taken off that one this morning.
Didn't you say you were getting closer to...
Apparently, the higher-ups think I'm doing a horrendous job at it. It doesn't matter, though. If these two cases are connected like I initially thought, then regardless, I'm on the right track. Have you seen the news this morning?
He grabs a remote and cycles through numerous channels until he gets to a news report about another guy who had been found dead in the early hours of the morning today. Burned alive this time. Oddly, no fire has spread, and whatever damage had been contained within the place the body was found. The room itself, however, has been completely vandalized. Help me. Help me. Help me. Another murder, the authorities claimed. If only they knew.
You think this is...
I don't know what to think, Zach.
He rises from the chair and begins pacing the length of the room, lacing his fingers roughly through his hair.
I just know there's something. There must be. There has to be.
The Anselm killer, again and again! First the other old killings, now this, Isabella.
Fuck! Well, you do have something in mind, I'm sure. A plan? Come on, Ash, you're good with that.
I do! I'm just not sure if I'll get anything out of it.
Well, a plan is better than no plan at all, ain't it?
Almost too sudden, he swivels on his heel, and for a passing moment I thought he was going to shout at me. Instead, Ash simply flops back down on the couch, crosses his arms over his face, and releases a long, ragged breath. His voice comes out smaller, closer to a whisper when he speaks again.
I should have looked into this when she was still here. Maybe none of this would have happened if I did.
Ah, that is. No need to ask who her is. Every should-haves, could-haves, and would-haves. All the frustrations in one statement, while all we could do is to cope. What should I say? You're not the only one stuck in this? It sounds... I hope Zach says something.
You ain't the only one stuck in this mess, you know.
Harsh, but perhaps the thing he needs to hear most right now. He throws me a glance sharp enough to cut, if it's even possible, looks about to say something for a moment, but decides against it. Rather, he blows another aggravated sigh and drags his fingers out his face.
It's my job to know things, damn it.
Not everything. Even someone like you has their weakness. Stop overestimating yourself. You ain't infallible. Don't blame yourself for every little thing out of your control. Doesn't work that way, Ash.
Easy for you to say.
Maybe, but it ain't above me to ask help from others. I know what I can and can't do. Do you?
And just like that, we've reached another standstill. One by one, things are starting to fall apart without a notice. Ash leaves mere minutes close to sundown. He said little until then, not even a hint of what he's aiming to do after. While it ain't any of my business to know, his whole reticent attitude on the matter gnaws at me. At this hour, the streets are once again busy with people heading home after a hard day's work. Little of the bustle matters to him as he steps out of the crowded walkway, however. There's only his goal in his mind, and I'd wager there's nothing I can do to stop him at this point. He's probably decided on it long before he made the decision to drop by. But despite this, he lags behind.
What's wrong, Ash?
His mouth opens and closes, but whatever he wants to say is lost in the clamor of traffic outside.
Is there something I can do?
No, just say where you are.
I can't do that. No can do, Ash. Ask me anything but that. No way in hell I'm gonna pretend there ain't a problem when there is. This is a really big one, and I'll be damned if I let anything happen to you guys while I sit here.
Oh, fuck. Ugh. I'm drinking juice with, I think it has guava in it. And the end bit of my juice had the slight grit to it.
I'm done running when things get tough.
What? You think you have a better plan?
Who knows if it's better? At least it's something.
If all this is going to do is put you in danger, then I'd rather you not do anything at all. I never want to wake up to that kind of thing again. Finding out one of my friends was left for dead in the middle of the street. One person is enough.
This is still better than having no other course of action, yeah?
He's about to argue for a moment, but...
Look, bro, if things ain't good, I'll be the first one out. But allow me this one thing, aight? Just this one time. If it doesn't work out, you'll be the first one to know. You can laugh then, or berate me all you want. But please don't ask me to step aside like I'm incapable of doing anything to help.
I have no idea if it's the look on my face or the tone of my voice. Ultimately, although his mouth presses into a thin line, he nods.
Do what you want. If you can check in with Rebecca, I'd appreciate it.
When he stumbles into the sidewalk and allows the afternoon crowd to swallow him whole, I like to think the tiny gleam in his eyes is the closest we can get to optimism in this situation. Whether that alone will be enough to give me a peaceful sleep tonight remains to be said. Though if I'm going to be honest, it's not the night terrors that are keeping me wide awake tonight, but the anxiety and the hope I'd hear from Ash soon. And for what's perhaps the 42nd time, my eyes shift over to the end of the table where my phone lies still. I've not heard from him since he left. He hasn't promised a call, of course, but a small part of me wishes he would have the common sense at the very least. Waiting is a tough game, and with the concern stretching out the minutes far longer than usual, it's impossible for more unpleasant thoughts not to enter my mind. Moreover, it does not help that when the clock finally strikes 3, my hand stills. Last I heard him speak like that, a friend ended up fighting for her life in the hospital. Do I really need to answer that? Why are you even? No, wait, just get your ass here at Isabella's place and hurry. Now she's still in a coma.
I'll be there in a few. An hour or two tops.
Thanks. I'll see you.
I rush back to my bike as soon as the call ends. Without another look, I leave the mansion along with its haunting melodies and grim echoes behind. There are more important things than my own curiosity and impulses. I don't remember. Are you alright?
Hey, are you alright there, Whiskey? You're looking like you need a serious drink.
Just in case.
What is it that you want to do then?
Oh, yeah, this wasn't the option that I chose.
Films. Documentaries mostly. But cinematography is a lot more difficult than photography, right? I was working on this thing, actually.
I'm fine. Just a bit winded from all that moving about. It's been a long day.
And the day's not over yet. So if you can excuse the bloodness, you either shape up to help or ship out back to your room and let us do the rest of the work.
He hesitates, eyes locked firmly on the door that led to the dining hall. Even now, we can still hear as Mrs. Wright and the photographer chit-chat in between shots.
It's not my place to say this, but she really does seem to care a lot about you, you know?
There's no need to remind me of that.
A strange smile appears on his face before he shuts his eyes and sighs.
Tell the workers that you're all dismissed early.
That's nice and all, Whiskey. But we really shouldn't just take off. Delays aren't a good thing when it comes to big projects like these. The sooner we tackle certain issues, the better.
And I trust you can take care of these issues another day. Don't make me ask again, Mint. Just tell the others they can go home early. And to not worry, they'll still get paid the remaining hours.
I don't know what prompted this. With the air he's putting on, though, I know better than to meddle and prod further. Besides...
Fine, you're the boss.
Walking out of the kitchen, I just accept the fact that whatever he says will go well under his roof.
I take it the investigation isn't going well.
When does it ever? But that's not the problem. No, it's...
Is this about that hit and run from yesterday's morning news? I saw it. I just didn't know if it was the same girl you're always groaning on about. But this just proves it, doesn't it? You don't have a drink.
She might never wake up, G. And we can't find the son of a bitch that thought it was alright just to leave her there in the road.
Can't you just run plates nowadays? I mean, I just got a ticket for a busted tail light the other day, and they were on that quicker than you can say Bob's your uncle.
The footage is a mess for some reason, and the tech guys are trying to clean it up, which just skeeves me off, you know? Those things are HD traffic and security cams. They haven't failed before.
And you're thinking there's something foul afoot, is that it?
The talk would have interested me, would have kept my attention if I gave a damn. But in my current state, I can barely give two fucks about things going on around me. All these words are just buzzing, barely surfacing from the sea of sounds that is the pub, and I would have stayed that way, perhaps even drowned if I didn't hear his name.
Luke Wright. You know the guy.
It began routinely enough. Immediately after I'd read the news this morning, I called her, offered to treat her to a free dinner to help take her mind off things, because knowing her, this might turn into another episode where she'll lock herself up in a room. It doesn't happen frequently. She's grown sensible that much at least, but I might as well prevent it before going down that road. The last time it did, less than 5 years ago, after the incident at Devlin Court, it took Ashton of all people to coax her out of her sulk. She isn't the one responsible for Miss Cooper's death, but this'll weigh on her regardless. After all, the woman was her mentor. It was only for a brief period years ago, and they never worked together again after, but she still feels like she owes the woman a lot up to this day. To my relief, she agreed, even promised she'll meet me at St. Goretti right after my classes. Though it's a bit odd of her to ask me to stay safe before suddenly cutting off our talk, everything's going swimmingly. But isn't part of the plan is her failing to turn up, leaving me waiting for hours.
Where the bloody hell is she?
Bleeding out in a street. 4 hours from the time we agreed on, and still counting. Yet I received not a single call or text from her. This after I took the courtesy and effort of sending her a message, telling her where I'm heading to when I had to leave the school. She could have done that too, at least, and saved me the trouble of waiting.
She can be such a child sometimes. I swear, if she locked herself up in that room, she's not going to hear the end of this.
I will be doing that, and she's not gonna hear jack shit. Glancing at my watch only stirs up my temper further. Almost closing time now. With the exception of a few still in line for some late-night coffee and snack, or those simply finishing their food, a small crowd inside has started to thin out. Half of the normally bustling place is now empty, and the speakers have stopped playing music seconds ago. Still, I wish they kept it going longer for a few more minutes. I can do with some relaxing music right now, especially with the pitying looks the manager and the one manning the cashier are giving me once I hit my second hour of waiting here. The former even offered me another cup for free after I drank through my second one earlier. Naturally, I appreciate the gesture. The woman has been nothing but kind to us in the times Isabella and I happened to catch her here. This time, however, they probably think my date stood me up or something, even if the reality falls far from it. Extremely far. Honestly, this is more like waiting for your child after school, if there's any comparison to make. Although if it were Ashton, if we ever do go on a date, I doubt he'd ever do this. Yeah, okay. He may be an embarrassing friend to have for Zachary and Isabella and has his odd moments, but he's definitely a reliable guy. Probably the only one I've ever had the chance of knowing this long except for Zachary.
If he won't make it, I'm sure he'll at least have the decency to inform me beforehand.
Considering what I've learned about him, yeah, I don't think so. You're definitely thinking of a whole different guy. Very wishful thinking. Not that I'll ever have the courage to ask him or anything of that sort happening anytime soon. I haven't even forgotten my poor attempt at a confession back in secondary. I wrote a short letter for him then, only for it to end up unread and hidden away someplace. I might have already lost it, in fact, after I moved out from home, along with that diary I used to religiously write on. But all of that's irrelevant and a wholly different matter from this. Besides, it's getting late. It's already quite obvious Isabella has no plans of ever showing up tonight, and if she thinks she's getting away from pulling such a stunt on me, she's got another thing coming for her. When I called her this morning, I genuinely believe she's better than that childish part of her, but this simply proves things otherwise, doesn't it? She should be thankful. It's only because of my own stubbornness and good faith in her that I stayed here beyond the bounds of what my own patience allows me. Okay. Reel it back.
And look where that got me.
I might as well leave now, too. Considering the loud blaring of sirens passing by outside, getting home tonight might take longer. Probably an accident. I wonder who called it in. Cause the place that Isabella got hidden seemed like it was so devoid of people, and then this car suddenly came out of nowhere. They rarely happen here in Luxbourne, but not entirely unheard of. Most of the time it just results in heavy traffic and a few roads nearby being temporarily closed off. Judging from the direction the police mobiles headed to and from where an ambulance came earlier, it's in the same route I take.
Joy of joys.
Without delaying, I gather my things back in my bag, shoot a quick thanks at the cafe's personnel for allowing me to stay this long, and hastily leave the place. Hopefully I'm not too late and the side streets aren't too congested yet. However, no 2 steps out, my mobile rings all of a sudden, effectively stopping me in my tracks. I answer it without checking the screen, fully expecting to hear Isabella's string of apologies and excuses. A series of reprimands is already at the tip of my tongue. Friends or not, what she did is simply unacceptable. She needs to learn. She's 26, for goodness sake.
Isabella! I've been waiting for hours! Where the bloody fucking hell are you? We agreed on a time, didn't we? This isn't funny, you know?
But the one that responds on the other end isn't her voice. This one is deeper, almost out of breath, and talks with a bit of a hurried note.
Rebecca, it's me.
Oh, Ashton. Ash! Why are you calling me so suddenly? Do you need something?
Where are you right now? Salem well?
No, but I'm about to head home. I was supposed to meet with Isabella after school. She never showed up, though. Why?
Ashton doesn't immediately answer, however. In place of his reply, I find myself focusing instead on the noise coming from his side. People shouting orders from afar, a few curses flying off and about, and someone yelling at another poor bloke. There's also the low murmur of what appears to be a small group of people around him. Further back, if I strain my ears, is the din of car horns and vehicles driving past. He must have been assigned on another case, called to another crime scene in the middle of the night at that. No, I was trying to hear if there's anything decipherable in there. He'll probably end up spending time there until the investigations last, likely until tomorrow, without even getting any shut-eye or a short rest. My lips press tight at that, but I don't say anything. Any attempt to call him out on it before has resulted in an argument. The best I can do at the minute is keep these opinions to myself, no matter how much I disapprove of it, even if I'm not the only one who shares the same opinion. Even Zachary and Isabella has something to say about it. I'm simply the most vocal out of the 3 of us. That aside, none of those explain why he's calling me in the middle of his work.
Ash, are you still there? I'll be home soon. If this'll take time, just call my landline number. Give me about half an hour. I should be able to find a quicker route home, hopefully.
No, Becca, don't go home yet.
It's going to get late if I don't leave now, Ash. There seems to have been an accident along the route I take, too. I'm not sure, but I saw a couple of police mobiles rushing past a few minutes ago. You wouldn't happen to know anything about that, do you?
In fact...
Becca, about that. I need you to get yourself to the hospital.
Hospital? Right now? Why?
A hollow feeling suddenly creeps down my stomach despite having eaten dinner mere minutes ago. Ashton's hesitation doesn't help either. Whatever his reasons for calling, it can only be taken as unpleasant based solely on his tone.
Ash, is there a problem? Wait, it isn't you, is it? Did you get hurt or something? I told you to never make a joke about that.
Bitch, does it sound like he's the one who's hurt? I'm also pretty sure if he was hurt, he wouldn't even bother to call you.
Please tell me this isn't one of those.
It's not for me. Calm down, Becca.
Calm down, Becca, and then, like, start panicking again once you find out who it is.
Well, why the sudden need for a hospital visit then? I sure as hell am not sick. Who's it for?
Silence again. If this dilly-dallying is simply his reluctance or he's just carefully measuring the weight of his next words, I can't tell. For all his good looks, he can be brutally blunt even without putting a concerted effort on it. Within our small circle, unless we really have no other choice, no one ever trusts him with the task of delivering the bad news. And this is one, isn't it? Who put him up to this? The fact that he's dragging it out like this only increases my apprehension.
Ashton, if you're just going to hum and haw for the next 5 minutes, we're better off...
It's Isabella.
Come again?
Isabella. Scaredy cat. She's... Okay, listen up. You didn't hear this from me, and you're not the one who should have heard it first, but someone has to be there with her, and I can't.
Hold on. What exactly happened? I was just talking to her this morning. Now you're telling me she somehow ended up in a hospital?
Yeah, that accident you mentioned earlier. It's...
Bloody hell, Ashton, out with it!
Just a few hours ago, a car ran her over while she was crossing the street. I can't give the details yet. We're still checking on the cams, but the driver fled afterwards.
You think the driver was actually the ghost, also behind the wheel? Like, I mean, she got crazy powers. She shows up in front of Isabella one place, and then I guess, you know, maybe she pulls some other spirits and she's all like, this is my car now. And then she ran Isabella over.
She was left bleeding in the road.
All at once, as though the wind had been knocked out of me, and remembering how to breathe becomes a whole different endeavor altogether. My hand makes its way over my mouth as I fight the tremors from gradually sweeping over me. Little by little, the memories of the last few hours rush back to me. Her asking me to keep myself safe, my calls going unanswered for a long period, and the passing wails of an ambulance.
She was still breathing when the paramedics arrived, but I won't lie. Her condition's critical. Concussion, multiple fractures, and internal bleeding. They said she lost so much blood, and it'll be a miracle if she makes it through the night. Damn it, when I find the bastard who did this.
What about Zach? Zachary, does he know already? Shouldn't we tell him about this too?
No, not yet. Don't tell him anything yet. Let's just keep the circle small for now. I don't want to alarm him. I'll tell him myself tomorrow, but I need you to hurry to the hospital. Can you do that for me? You're the only one I can trust with this right now.
Yeah, I'll be there. No problem. Don't worry about it.
Alright, okay. That's one problem off the list. Thanks, Becca. I'll keep you updated with how things are on my side. I need to go.
He ends the call abruptly without so much as a goodbye or a single reassurance everything will be okay. He doesn't know. None of us knows, and we can only hope amidst the fading of sirens in the distance like the very life quickly slipping away in front of us. When my body finally moves despite trembling hands and knees threatening to buckle at any time, it's only the single-minded desperation to reach her that pushes me. Please, please hang in there. The whole ward is almost too quiet when I arrive. No paramedics or nurses zooming past, no doctors in scrubs blaring out orders, or even patients moaning and whimpering in the triaging area. She's only been taken to the trauma room according to the overhead announcements.
Attention please. Adult Tier 1 trauma alert. Please respond to the trauma center, shock room 4.
None of this is what I'm expecting, the lack of chaos. With the air so calm and stirring in spite of what's taking place beyond this waiting room, so unlike what they often depict in the telly. Although it will be foolish of me to believe any of those shows. There may be some degree of accuracy in it, true, but it's all often done for the sake of entertainment and stirring up people's emotions. Yet despite fully knowing that, I still crave for the noise, the commotion, the worried voices, or even the shouting. Anything, whatever that will temporarily take the edge off my nerves. Instead, much like everything today, all I get to have when a trauma nurse finally shows up is an impassive declaration of, "She's in a critical condition, ma'am." Nothing I've not yet heard of from Ashton before. He doesn't spare me another word, not even a single explanation of what they're doing to Isabella, and the next minute I'm being entrusted with her belongings, everything now smeared and reeking of fresh blood. Didn't even put it in a bag, goddamn. So rude. At least put it in a plastic bag, it's covered in blood. Afterwards it's back to the silence again, longer this time. With only glass doctors, terrifying. Occasionally whizzing, as well as the nearly wooden voice over the hospital's intercom for company.
Paging Dr. Nicholas Vogel to Lord William Ward. Shock Room 4. Please report to Trauma Center Shock Room 4 stat. Dr. Vogel, please.
But who am I to demand for more when in some part of this bloody emergency ward Isabella's fighting for her life? In the end, no matter what my complaints are, what I want to see or hear, they're all useless here. I'm useless here.
Dr. Vogel, please report to the Trauma Center Shock Room 4 stat.
All I can do is sit down and wait, go through every small motions to keep myself occupied, prevent my mind from thinking of every ugly scenario this might lead to. Because as stubborn, annoying, or childish as I regard her time and again,
I don't want to lose a friend to this.
Not in this manner. And it's that thought I hold firmly to. As hours go by, as the halls grow quiet and everything around me turns dim and bleaker, it's what I cling on. Along with a small plea at the heart of it. A muttered prayer, desperate and earnest all at once.
I've never been the religious kind. I don't think I ever will identify as one. But if there's some other force, someone out there who can hear, please listen to me just this once.
Please don't take her away. Before long, sleep claims me, fraught with lasting images of blood and a single voice on a vain struggle with death. Thus the waiting game begins. The following morning arrives like any other day before it, bright and clear. As if the world hasn't completely tilted out of focus the night before, like nothing ever happened. It's a good day by common standards, albeit I can't fully appreciate. Maybe I would have if it wasn't for the hospital's glaring fluorescence that greeted me first, or my eyes still aren't rough with sleep, or I've chosen a more comfortable place to doze off. Even better if I've gotten a more pleasant news than what I received after waiting for hours on end. At times like this you simply take what you can get. It could have been worse. We could have lost her, the doctors and nurses said so. But by some bull-headed miracle we didn't. What do you know? She's actually found some use for her stubbornness. If she survives this, it seems this will be the last time I'll rail on her about that. It might have saved her after all. They had to induce a coma, yes, it may not be what we wanted, but it sure as hell isn't the end for her, and that's enough. That's enough, we can work from there. At least like this, we know, in her own little way, Isabella's still fighting and hoping isn't such a futile thing for us. Zachary thinks so. Unlike me, he never falters, not even once since he arrived and joined me in my vigil. Even when the uncertainty starts to have its sway on me, all he has for me are reassurances.
You did the right thing, Rebecca.
You don't know that. What if she doesn't want this? Do you see all of these? Wires and tubes and bandages everywhere. She's barely herself, clinging to dear life as it is. She can't even hear us. Doesn't even know there are people here worried sick for her.
The point is she's still here. Don't beat yourself up over what ifs. This ain't over for her, alright? I've seen people recover from even worse. Have some faith in her.
I do have faith in her.
You know what? I think this is just a lack of sleep talking. You been here since when? Last night? Go get some rest, Miss Gales.
But Isabella's...
I'll take care of her, don't you worry. We can do shifts if you want, but go home first. We'll talk about that later when you ain't looking like you're about to fall apart. If you keep going like this, you're the one who'll end up here next.
I don't know if it's the optimism in his tone that did it. But at his words, regardless of the mood around us, some of the exhaustion finally lifts, enough for a soft chuckle to slip from me. How odd. Out of all people, Zachary's the last person I ever expect to get a pick-me-up from. After all, we've never been particularly close. At best, we're good friends. We talk, we laugh when the situation calls for it, but admittedly, none of those will ever occur if Ashton or Isabella aren't there. It's not entirely uncomfortable, but awkward nevertheless. We simply can't seem to find something to talk about without those two to drive the conversation. Still, here he is, in spite of that gap or whatever dark cloud hanging above his head lately. I can't possibly reject his offer knowing that, can I?
This feels like a conversation I had with Isabella a few days ago. I said the exact same thing to her.
Then maybe it's a sign you should rest. Let me take over from now.
Maybe. But I'll keep that in mind. Are you sure you'll be fine alone? I'll come back this evening. So if you need anything picked up, I can get it for you.
Nah, no problem on that front. Besides, if I do need something, my apartment's just a few blocks away. Skip and a hop, that's all I need. Focus on getting some sleep. Let me take care of this for a few hours. Do it for everyone's sake,
Will do. Thanks, Zachary. If something changes with her, promise me you'll call.
You'll be the first one to know, ma'am. Well, if it comes to that. I hope the news I bring will be better than the one we got this morning. Crazy thing having to wake up to this.
I hope so too. I'll see you later.
I give him a smile before leaving. Frankly, it's a weak and half-hearted attempt at encouragement, and whether it's intended to be for me or for him, I don't linger over it. At the end of the day, we both need any little strength we can muster and extend between us in whatever form those may choose to come. The door closes behind me with a soft click, at last muffling the ceaseless beeping from the machines. But I know this isn't the last time I will be hearing those. A wholly different atmosphere meets me when I step out of the hallway. Sterile, placid, along with this sharp, bitter air dangling oppressively above my head as I make my way out of the ward. It stands at a stark contrast to the room I came from only seconds ago. With a whole place like this, Zachary's passing remark about Isabella years ago rings truer. He's right. There has always been this certain warmth she carries around her wherever she goes. The sunny, springly kind reminds you a little of home in those childhood memories so often forgotten, something I both envy and ignore in her to the point of taking it for granted. But in spite of the circumstances, she's trapped, and now it remains with her in that room, and leaving it is like a douse of cold water. Every thought, every responsibility, every worry I've set aside last night returns to me tenfold. Someone has to inform BRC, then there's also her aunt who works in another county. She needs to know as well. Her family in the Philippines too. And though he never asked for it, I'm sure Ashton will also appreciate any news on her condition.
Bloody hell. This is supposed to be easy.
Call and deliver the news, as simple as that. Offer small soothing words if need be, no matter how meaningless or how flat they fall in the other's ears. Yet my hand wavers. The moment I pull my phone out, my whole body freezes. I stop in my tracks while my thumb hovers uselessly over the name on the screen. Her aunt, her mom, Ashton. The letters on it flicker brightly, almost accusingly at my stalling. How would they react? How would her family feel, hearing this from someone they've never even met before? How do I tell them? What do I say? There are a million ways this can go, none of them pleasant, all of them out of my control.
But I can't simply pawn this off on someone else, can I?
Even before I agree to be her emergency contact, I've always known the responsibilities that came with being named one. At a young age I already did, and Isabella's trust goes as far as to put me in that list. If that doesn't say what she thinks of this little friendship, I don't know what else will. And now I balk at it.
That simply isn't how the Scotswoman in my blood does things.
So before I lose the sudden resolve or stumble back into another cycle of negative thoughts, I press down on the call button. Ashton first. I'll think about how I'll deal with the others later. Although I still have no clue how I'll open the topic, the news is still a far cry from a good one, but with him I won't have to worry how to best phrase it. Word choice and the turn of phrase notwithstanding, ultimately, this will all just sound like an update on the situation for him. When he finally answers, however, a certain tightness in his voice makes me pause. Hoarser, rougher than I remember, and it doesn't take a genius to figure out he hasn't gotten any sleep yet.
Becca?
Didn't I tell you not to call around this hour unless it's urgent?
I remember, sorry. Don't worry, this'll be quick. It isn't urgent, but I thought you should... You deserve to know about this as soon as possible.
Can it wait? At least until lunch?
It can, but I'm about to...
Rebecca, I'm in the middle of something right now. I can't really talk over the phone. I'll just call you back.
The shuffling of papers follows his dismissive note. He hasn't dropped the call yet, but his impatience and inattentiveness are clear. There's no need to guess, I can almost see it. The small scowl over his features, the way he reaches up with a hand to pinch the bridge of his nose when he can't figure something out. His quick, sharp movements when he checks and reads through everything with an enormous focus. Generally, I'd ignore it. I called him for an entirely different reason. Even so, the sudden nonchalance irks me. Maybe it has to do with his own exhaustion. Without a doubt, he's been at this since his call last night. That part I understand. Still, would it hurt him to pause and ask for a minute? Do I always have to spell it out for him? Or maybe it's time we stop beating around the bush. Aren't you going to ask about her? How's the investigation going? Aren't you going to ask about her? It spills out of my mouth before I can think on it twice or pick a better set of words, in a low voice without the anger but brimming with a quiet accusation. Later I'll blame it on fatigue, but in the minute I simply let everything loose. More for his sake than mine.
Aren't you even going to ask about her? How she's doing?
The rustling from his side abruptly stops. All of a sudden a silence sweeps over him, but this is neither him mulling over how to best articulate his answers nor waiting for me to say more. This is how he evades, how he skirts around truths he's not ready to brave. A final defense of sorts, a quick rebuilding of walls coming apart at the seams. Though his pause doesn't really last long enough to hold, and when he regains his bearings the shuffling returns with it, more urgent, stiffer than his actions earlier. A heavy exhale follows at its heels. My words have been thoughtfully ignored before he even responds.
I don't have time to worry about other things right now.
Ashton, your friend is in the hospital, not some random stranger.
You think I don't know that? I saw it with my own eyes. I saw it when they hauled her up in that ambulance last night. I'm pretty sure I'm the last person you should be telling that to.
Look, I know you couldn't give a shite about people outside of this little circle of yours. But this is someone you've known for years.
And your point is?
My point is, you could have spared a little of your precious detective time to check on us, instead of brushing us off at the first chance you get. Even Zachary went all the way here, when he could have just called.
Rebecca, you know I can't be there while I'm trying to figure out what happened here. I can't just leave in the middle of things. I told you that last night.
At least try to show some concern.
I am concerned.
Well, you certainly don't sound like it.
How am I supposed to sound then? Royally pissed? In tears? Rebecca, if you're expecting me to cry over this, you're barking up the wrong tree.
Why don't you try a little harder than that? Maybe then it'll be easier to believe you.
Oh, what do you think I'm doing? Why do you think I'm still out here? Trying to find the godforsaken asshole who did that to her? That isn't concern to you?
I don't know, you tell me. Better yet, why don't you tell that to Isabella if she ever wakes up?
I don't bother waiting if he'll reply to that. A swift swipe of my thumb over the mobile's screen brings a curt end to the conversation, if you can still call it one. But I know him. He may not be the type to hang up on anyone once a discussion goes sour or turns against his favor, but he'll end up dragging this out until every argument has been said. We both will. We're both headstrong like that. Besides, there's really no point bickering further. I've already said what I wanted to say. Although with how tactfully phrased it was, I don't see any hope of it having an effect, or him ever showing up here. I don't expect him to. It'll be just Zachary and I on this until he pulls that stick out of his behind. Coward. If I have enough mental capacity to take this on right now, I'll gladly do so, just to get everything over with. But the way things are, and I am now, I'll only end up doing more harm than good, both to myself and those around me. Besides, the most pressing matter is getting out of this place. Because when I look up from my phone and finally take in my surroundings, only an unfamiliar hallway greets me. brightly lit as any other corridor here, though oddly void of people in the usual hospital clamour. No voices announcing over the intercom, no beeping from machines inside the rooms, not even a single patient waiting or the occasional doctor or nurse on the rounds. I must have taken a wrong turn somewhere while I'm busy worrying about those phone calls earlier. It ought to teach me something.
Of all the places to get lost at.
I've never thought much of the hospitals before, they're a necessity. Walking alone in a deserted area inside one, however, with the walls coming off too white, too clean in my eyes, and perhaps even too dull, I can't help but feel a bit queasy about it. A heavy, unsettling feeling lands on my stomach. It's a bit unnerving, but far more agreeable than the sensation of being watched I've been enduring these past few days. And I know I shouldn't do this here, but...
Hello? Anyone here?
I just realized the doctor that was being called, his office is right there. I believe that's him. Dr. Vogel, neurosurgeon. Faint footsteps and a murmur of voices echo from somewhere. Still no one responds to my call. It merely bounces off the walls before dwindling until all I have for company is the sound of my footsteps. Admittedly, this is a little disconcerting. But for now I let the distant noises guide me as I walk along the empty corridor looking for that exit that will lead me back to the main lobby or anyone I can ask for directions. A good minute passes, and another. I'm about to turn around and retrace my steps instead when... The sound of it makes me halt. It's a little muffled and infrequent but grows louder after each passing second. With a hallway devoid of people, I don't have to strain my ears to pinpoint where it's coming from. Not too far ahead, in fact. Just past the sharp turn at the end of this corridor. And clearly, it's the voice of a child.
Where are you, Mother?
On a normal day, I won't concern myself with this considering where I am. Hundreds come and go here every day. Whatever business they have here, whether they arrive in tears or not, I've got nothing to do with it, and vice versa. Personally, I don't think a stranger's worry would do much when there are nurses and doctors already attending to them. But that also begs the question why a child is here crying. Possibly on their own. It's a hospital. Kids sometimes end up in the hospital. Did she happen to wander here like I did? If so, I can't very well leave her here, can I? I can't even find my own way out, what more if it's a child. Though I'm quite sure the hospital's a safe place and the roaming staff will eventually find her. Who knows what else might happen if I just leave her here.
Mother, please. I don't want to be alone.
In any case, I don't have the heart to turn my back on this, not when this kid's just a few meters away from me. I might as well check on her, make their job easy, and bring her with me to the lobby where her parents can easily find her. It's not totally out of the way. So gingerly I seek her out, taking light mindful steps as I approach where her sobs come from, hoping not to startle her. My caution, however, is ineffectual. The closer I get, the more frantic her sobs become. I try to ease her fears by calling out to her, but...
Hey! Hello there? Can you hear me?
Mother, please. She's here. She's here, Mother. She's going to take me.
I'm not going to hurt you. Are you lost?
She won't leave, Mother.
Damn, why these hallways so echoey?
I'm heading back to the lobby. Do you want to come with me? Your mom could easily find you if we go there.
Mother, I don't want to go with her. Tell her to go away.
Well, this kid doesn't need my help. I'm just gonna leave.
Alright. Why don't we just find someone who can...
Suddenly she cries out, and in a flash her stifled sobs grow louder and more violent, fraught with fear and dread. It doesn't take too long for a little fact to register. I'm not the one she's talking to from the beginning. Whoever it is, she doesn't want the person with her in there.
Mother, she's here. Help.
I don't think twice. With all the haste I can gather despite the weariness in my bones, I break into a run before panic sets in. Damn my own safety, but if something happens to that kid not more than a few hours after Isabella's accident, at that, I won't forgive myself. I may not have been able to do anything for Belle, but this one's right in front of me.
She's going to hurt me. Help me.
I won't just sit this one out like a useless person. Another scream ripples through the air as I near the bend. However, this time her sobs die down along with it. A wave of cold creeps through my whole body as the entire corridor goes wholly silent. Quiet has never been a good thing in situations like this. In 3 more steps I make it around the corner, bag ready in my hand, only to be greeted by a wall the moment I turn into the adjoining hall. That is not a pretty picture of this lady. A dead end. It takes me a few slow moments to take it all in, despite the adrenaline coursing through my veins. No sign of a girl or whoever's with her. Just an empty alcove and a single painting sitting on a bare wall.
Where did they...
A quick scan of the area reveals nothing, not even a hint of a scuffle. The only way out of here would have been the sliding door standing adjacent to me, but even that looks untouched, bolted shut to the boot. The corridor I've just passed through seems to be the only way to get there apart from that door. I would have met them if they tried to leave. I'm far from having Ashton's keen observation, but that certainly didn't sound like a simple tantrum you can shove under the rug and forget about. Do you think the ghost is so powerful because, like, all these stupid-ass pictures or, like, artifacts are all over the city? Anyone making a desperate cry like that would have left things in disarray.
Especially a child.
Yet I'm the only one standing here. In the presence of a painting that looks to be mocking me and the absurdity of my actions. Though to be fair, the real Lady Charlotte Ermengarde probably won't be doing any of that sort. Local history has constantly written and spoken of the woman fondly, endeared to everyone much like her parents. Yeah, well, that's not true. The beloved child and heir up until she took her own life. A pity, but that's a lesson for another day. Oh, so she's slided. Above my worries over what I heard and finding that child, I've yet to find a proper way out of here. Thankfully, I don't have to fret over it longer. Soon another voice calls out from the opposite end of the hall, one of the custodial staff from what little I could glean of his uniform at this distance. He doesn't bother hiding the annoyance in his tone. From the sound of it, this doesn't appear to be the first time someone unconsciously ended up here.
You there! What are you doing?
Being lost. Duh.
I'm sorry. I think I took a wrong turn somewhere.
Well, wherever it is you want to go, it isn't there.
I'm really sorry. I heard someone crying here and I thought...
Lady, this place is off limits to the public. Has been since a month ago. Closed off for renovations. Didn't you see the signs back there? Next time, learn to read.
It won't happen again.
Whatever. Get out of here, lady. Exit's back there. Second turn on your right.
Get out of here. Get! Shoo!
Don't let me catch you here again.
Strange, though. He doesn't wait around for me to leave and walks off after saying his piece. I'm not certain if it's because he's simply tired of having to fend off unauthorized personnel from roaming in here, or he's just gotten to the point that he no longer cares anymore. God, jump scared me. Shaking my head, I step back from the alcove and prepare to head out, but not before taking a glance at it again. I'm not even sure anymore what I'm expecting to see before me.
Must be the wind.
So without another look, I leave it alone. Ugh! Jump scared me again, you bitch! Hateful. I'm not sure. I mean, I got 2 hours on this, but I'm not sure if I need to add on to this part, so I don't really have that much to say. Just that I will be going back to redo the one that I wanted. It's gonna be in this same round because this whole round is basically dedicated to Isabella getting dunked on. But hey, we're at least seeing new stuff. 'Cause I'm pretty sure if I didn't end up doing going to the diner or whatever, I probably wouldn't have come back. But yeah. Not sure how long. It's definitely not going to be as long as first round. But we're definitely getting some big changes in these certain parts, so that's going to be pretty long, and I don't know how long exactly. Anyways, I may or may not end up adding to this. So, if I do, you'll be you'll be hearing me again, and we'll be continuing on. But if not, I hope all of you have a good day and a good night. Goodbye.